Mourners gather in Windsor for Prince Philip's funeral despite coronavirus restrictions. The Queen followed the funeral procession through the grounds of the castle, joined in a state Bentley by a lady-in-waiting, the first time her husband has gone ahead of her in more than 60 years. Behind the coffin, their children walked in pairs, first Prince Charles and Princess Anne and then Prince Edward and Prince Andrew. Their grandsons, Prince William and Prince Harry, walked behind, with Peter Phillips in between. Behind them were the Viscount Linley and Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence. They did not wear masks during the procession, which was held outside. Members of the royal family, including Prince Charles, Prince William and his wife Kate, and Mike and Zara Tyndall, were seen arriving around lunchtime on Saturday. Countess Mountbatten of Burma, Penny Knatchbull traveled to Windsor on Saturday. She was the only friend of the Duke to be able to attend the slimmed-down service. Harry's wife Meghan Markle was confirmed to be watching proceedings from the U.S., where the couple now lives with their son Archie, who turns 2 next month. Philip's favorite driving carriage was pulled by 2 of his ponies, Balmoral Nevis and Not Law Storm, to stand in the quadrangle of the castle as the procession passed by. He took up carriage driving in the 1970s and continued the sport well into his 90s. The red container on the Duke's carriage seen next to his cap, whip and gloves, was the sugar lump pot, from which Philip used to give his ponies sugar lumps after carriage driving. The hearse, a custom-designed Land Rover, was driven through the quadrangle as military bands played just before 2:29 p.m., ready to collect the coffin, with military precision of timing kept throughout. The coffin was draped in Philip's standard and topped with a wreath of lilies and roses, chosen by the Queen. On top of it was his sword and his naval cap. Philip's funeral began with a nationwide 1-minute silence at 3 p.m. before the coffin was taken into the choir for the service, led by the Dean of Windsor and the Archbishop of Canterbury. People in Windsor and around the country fell silent with the royal family at 3 p.m. The minute began with a round fired by the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery, and was ended the same way at Windsor. There were no readings or eulogies from the royal family, in line with other royal funerals. The service was led by the Dean of Windsor, with the Archbishop of Canterbury. Members of the British royal family and the Duke's German family paid tribute to him in the hours before the funeral. His great-niece Princess Xania, whose brother Prince Philip was one of the 30 mourners at the ceremony, said, "To all of us, he was an idol, he was somebody to look up to, we had enormous respect for him and it was always very exciting when he came to visit, and he came often." Mike Tyndall, the husband of Zara, one of the Duke's granddaughters, called him a devoted family man who we will forever miss but always love. The ceremony, which included many traditional elements of a Church of England funeral as well as several of his own requests, honored the Duke's unwavering loyalty to the Queen and the courage, fortitude and faith. There were several readings but no sermon, in line with his wishes.